So I've invited her, and she's been unable. See, invite, and she's been unable to see the invite. So I think we're gonna have to do this the way that I did the way that I did one at one time before, which I'm going to actually call her, and we'll take it from there because I don't know what's going on. Technology, you got to. Oh, she says she's in back. She's backstage. Okay. All right. There we go. Yay! Technology. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay.
Let me cut off this phone. I was trying to get you on the phone.
Okay. So let me mute my. So I'm gonna keep my mic muted and um, and let you talk.
Can you hear me? No, I can't hear you at all. Well, let me mute my mic until you do your beginning and introduction, and then because I can't hear you at all. So I'm
All right, everybody. So we got her. She's here. This is our special guest, Regina Smithwick. She's gonna tell. She's gonna share with us her journey, her weight loss journey, and she's gonna also share with us some of the fabulous things that she has going on. And she's and she's gonna also talk to us briefly about PCOS. And so there's a lot that she has going on. Everyone, please welcome our guest, Regina Smithwick.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for inviting me to your lovely platform. I am so excited to be here and hopefully introduce some new mindsets or new ideas to people who are thinking about taking that route of weight loss as well as dealing with polycystic OB syndrome. Well, let me start from the beginning. I am Regina. I am a motivational speaker. I'm a talk show podcast host. I'm an author and I do it all. Anything to do with talking, that's what I do. But in this time, I wanted to talk about the weight loss journey. I know a lot of people, especially these days, doing weight loss surgeries are really, really popular. They've been popular for about the last 20 years, kind of give or take. And they have innovated and changed over the last 15 years or so. I had the regular gastro bypass, the I guess the original gastro bypass. I lost almost 100 pounds, about 90 pounds when I had the surgery. Um, One of the things about having the surgery was because of my polycystic ovary syndrome thing. I didn't realize how I never knew I had it. First of all, didn't know I had it. And the only reason why I knew I had it is because when I started to try to have a family, I got married and I was trying to get pregnant. I ended up having two miscarriages. And the miscarriages came from that because, your eggs are not really good when they do release. And you're able to get pregnant, being able to carry, it usually aborts itself. And because of your hormones being completely off course because of this syndrome. Um, I really didn't understand it, so I ended up going to a specialist because of the miscarriages, not thinking that I had any problems on that. I didn't know I had it. I walked in the office and the doctor looked at me. She looked at my forearm right here. She looked at my stomach and looked at the back of my neck, and she said, "You have," and she told me I had polycystic. I was like, how do you know? She said, because of the silverness look. It looks silver, dark looking around these areas. You kind of have like insulin resistance. And that's what it was, because it's similar to, it's like cousin to diabetes, I guess you want to say. So I ended up having, getting the blood work done, and it was diagnosed that's what I did have. And then she said, well, I'm gonna give you this metformin, and it's $4 at Walmart. I was like, okay, so all this problem I had, we solved for $4. She was like, yes, $4, and you start taking it, and it'll start putting your body back in order, your hormones back in order. And funny enough, 2 weeks taking the medicine, I ended up having being pregnant with twins, and my twins are now 17 years old. So, so that's the gist of the story. But we could talk about a little bit more about the weight loss. I'll go back on mute if you have any questions. We can kind of do it like that.
All right, so that's great. So you tried the metformin, and the metformin actually worked for you to improve your hormone imbalance. That was related, again, like she said, it was related to insulin resistance, which is a cousin to type 2 diabetes. Like it's a step before type 2 diabetes. And so she tried, that's what she tried. So did you have the weight loss surgery at the same time when you started the metformin, or how did that work? And how did your weight loss affect your PCOS?
Actually, no. The PCOS I was diagnosed in 2003. Yeah, 2000. Wait, let me get it right. I had the boys in the beginning of 2004. Right, the first part of the year, probably around January 2004. I ended up getting pregnant 2 weeks later, and I found out probably in February. I didn't have the surgery until 2010. Yeah, I didn't have the surgery until 2010. So I had took the medication, found out I was pregnant, and what they do is they keep you on the medication for the first trimester of your pregnancy, because they want to make sure everything's okay, and then you stop taking it. So I found out, I was blessed to find out I was having twins early, because when I actually went in to take my to get the original ultrasound, and I caught them splitting eggs. I literally caught the eggs splitting, and that's how I was able to see I was having identical twins. So I ended up doing that. And the thing about this medication, if people don't know about it, it does say, I mean, a lot of people with type 2 diabetes use this medication. It's very, very, because it makes your hormones balance. But the funny part about it, you lose so much weight at first when you take this medication. I know I did. I lost, now when you first start taking it, it tears your stomach up. It really does. They tell you to take like Milax and all this other stuff to settle your stomach, because it takes time for your body to get used to it. But after a while, you don't have to. But when I started taking the medicine, by the end of my pregnancy, well, the first trimester, I ended up losing 25 pounds. So I was smaller at the end of my pregnancy than I was when I first got pregnant. So I only gained 25 pounds. So at the end of the pregnancy, I kind of was where I was at when I started. And that was a blessing, in its own. But it helped me sustain my pregnancy, and I had a healthy pregnancy. I had no issues, no diabetes, pregnancy issue, nothing. I Perfect pregnancy. After I got off the medication, I never went back on it. But the symptoms sometimes you do have is when you work out, or do try to eat decent. Now, if you eat a lot of carbs like I did, it's hard to lose weight. Even if you work out, you can work out 3 4 times a day. If you're not eating right, and you eating a lot of carbs and sugars, the weight will stay on, because it's not you, it's the hormones, and the hormones are holding on to that them carbs. That's why they tell you don't have a lot of carbs, trying to balance your diet out. So it's really a eating thing too. You have to eat right with the medication for everything to work. So I'll take it back to you.
Right, and that's the way most diet programs are, weight loss programs are. They're all the same thing. They start with telling you to cut out the carbs. Go to a low carb kind of diet because they know that it's hormone based. So it's not really even the amount of physical activity that you're doing. It's actually more related to diet and actually related to your excess sugar consumption, which, and by excess, it's like your carbs turn into sugar. Like I would say that my body could find sugar in a carrot. It didn't matter what it was doing. It was going, what I ate, it was going to find the sugar because it needed the sugar because I was addicted. And so that was a joke for me, but it was actually the truth. And and so like certain things like eating a whole bunch of going on a high carb, or even just fruits and vegetables, a plan like that, or a vegan type plan was not going to work for me. That was not going to be it for me. I needed something to actually stabilize my blood sugars, get all of the sugar out, even from carbs. I needed extremely low carbs. Now that's for me, because everybody is different. And even she said that she did the metformin at the beginning of her, and during the first trimester of her pregnancy, and just she did it for a short while, and then after that she was off the metformin, and was balancing, everything was balancing itself back again. So can you tell us what about your what caused you to go in and get the gastric bypass, and can you tell us the process for it? I'm always, and I say this because I'm always fascinated by it, because I like Doctor, I think it's Doctor Now. I always like to watch him, and he tells the people to, before they can have the surgery, they have to lose weight, and then they can have the surgery, and then the weight loss continues dramatically after that. Can you tell us about your process, and what and everything that happened to you during your process?
Yeah, sure. Um, the process when you first start off, you have to be approved. Now, these days are different. I noticed that the insurance companies work way better with the surgery than they used to do back in early 2000 and the 99s. And because I know a lot of people who had the surgery back in like in the 90s, late 90s, close to 2000, and you had to go through hoops to get this surgery. I mean, insurance companies were fighting you tooth and nail. You have to have so many this, so many that. You have to have your BMI have to be a certain amount. You had to have other elements with it. I think you had to get like two or three elements with it for you to be qualified for insurance purposes to get the surgery. And the surgery was really more expensive back then than it is now. So you got to get approved first, and after you get approved, then you go to the doctor, and the doctor kind of gives you a list of stuff that you need to do. You need to lose, based on your body weight, your BMI, and your body weight. You have to lose so much weight before the surgery. And the purpose of losing the weight before the surgery, I know people say, "Well, I'm here because I can't lose weight, so why I had to lose weight before I have weight loss surgery?" It doesn't make sense, but it does. When they go in with the with the bypass, they punch holes in your stomach. You get about 6 holes. They punch in, and they work with a tool inside of your stomach to kind of shift stuff around, cut things up, and put things together. Well, your liver is right there. Your liver is right where they need to get under your stomach and in the area to do the rearranging at. And the more body weight you have, the fatter and bigger your liver is. So if you, what they do too is before you have the surgery, you got to do a lot of blood work and you got to get an endoscopy done. And so endoscopy is like the camera that goes down your throat and it checks out your esophagus, your stomach, and your test. It kind of goes in there and makes sure everything's good. Most people who have surgery usually have hernias that they don't even know about. And hernias is basically when you have a lot of fat, your organs are trying to work. So if your organs need space, and so if the fat starts taking up a lot of space, your organs find places to go, and they kind of squeeze through other things, and that's a hernia. So when I got the endoscopy done, I ended up having two hernias, and they fix them while they're in there, so that's good. They take care of all that when they're in there. But when you get the endoscopy done, you do that. Now they look at your liver. Most people who's overweight, just like a steak, a fat steak with fat around it, usually the bigger you are, the more weight you have, the fatter your liver is, and that fat around the liver. It's like fat around the liver. And it's heavy. So it's hard for them to kind of work. So the more weight you lose, the lighter your liver is, and less fat around your liver, and they're able to lift it easier to do the surgery. So that's one of the reasons why the less weight, the better for that purpose. That's what they do for that. Um, and then before you go into surgery, another thing you have to do that a lot of people don't understand, because I didn't understand it either, they ask you to go see a psychiatrist. They have one appointment. It's only one appointment though, and I wish they don't. Now I understand. I'm gonna tell you briefly about it, but they need to do more than one. And the reason why is losing weight is mostly up here. It's really mental, right? So when you lose weight, it changes your life. It changes your life. It's not just, oh, I could fit into these jeans, or I could, that's all the flash and dash of the surgery. Yeah, everybody wants to, have this dream body. Everybody want this thing, and that's great, but at the end of the day, it's people around you that get affected too. You know, I heard some stories. Oh my goodness, I had people, best friends, end up breaking up their friendship over this. Um, Husbands end up leaving wives, or being so insecure about their wives losing weight because they're so used to them being a certain way. And a lot of times, you losing weight, it reflects back on somebody else. Like, for example, if you have a bunch of friends you hang out with, and you've always been the heavier one in the friends set, sometimes they look at you as their benchmark. So even if they are bigger, they'll say, "Oh, well, I'm not as big as her, so I'm not that bad." Right? So that's what they kind of use as a gauge. But when you lose all the weight and you end up being, and it's a shame that the world thinks of it this way, because you're still as beautiful and attractive and smart with the weight or without the weight. But we live in a world that looks at this stuff. So they end up seeing you in another way. So then you get more attention, and you feel better about yourself, your confidence levels, and then they go, well, you think you all that now. Now you think this and that. And it affects them, because now they got to look at themselves, because they can't use you as that benchmark no more. They can't use you as that example of, well, I need to lose weight, but I'm not big as her no more. So it reflects back on them to say, you got to do something about this, and they don't want to do nothing because they just so lazy. They got so complacent on using you, and now they can't use you no more. So now it gets like they upset with themselves, but they take it back on you and blame you, thinking that you're conceited now, you all this and that now. So when I went to see the psychiatrist, she was saying the reason why they want you to see, because it's a mental thing anyway. Because some people lose the weight and still feel like they're big. They still dress the same. It's hard for them to picture. They see it, but they can't see it. So, and she said a lot of relationships have broken up over people losing weight. And I was like, that's silly. If I lose weight, why are you upset? I never got the correlation, but when it does happen, your people have to get used to the new you. It's not just you, but if you have family or your friends or your husband or wife or whoever it is, it does take a toll on the relationship if they are insecure. If their insecurities, it's not you, it's their insecurities, but they put them on you. And I never understood it. So I always tell people, you get this surgery, do it for the right reasons. Of course, if it's medical reasons or whatever the case is. So if your doctor refer it, yeah, great. Talk to your family beforehand. Talk to your spouse beforehand, because things will change. Because we live in a place called Earth, and we are very visual people. America is about the image. America is about, this is the way we are set up here. And so it's nothing that you did wrong, but if your husband's used to you in a certain way, and then all of a sudden other men are start looking at you now because you are, more fit and more trendy, you got new clothes, that he had to be really, he had to be really secure of himself and know that that doesn't change y'all. You see what I'm saying? So, but I'll come back. See, good. Want to talk about it?
I mean, this is really good because I have always been curious about it, about the surgery, the process, and why you have to lose weight, and why if you can lose the weight that they initially ask you to lose, why can't you continue down that path without getting the surgery? Is Did you find that it was easy for you to continue to lose weight, or it was just a goal just for you to be able to get the surgery, and then you were going to just let the surgery do what it do?
I knew when I decided to do this surgery, I knew I was not going to lay myself on this table and put my life in risk to just gain it all back. I mean, I took it really seriously. To this day, there's certain things I still don't eat and still not do, and it's been going on 12 years. I was a lot of people don't. A lot of people because their mind is not set properly. They use it as a end all be all thing. It's just a tool. It's a tool to get a lot of weight off quick, but you have to maintain this. People get fooled because you see all the weight come off and you lose weight, and some people get that little sunk in look, like they get because they lose so much weight they literally sunk in. But um, yeah, true, but you got to maintain this. This doesn't just stay like this. I tell people all the time, I work out 5 days a week. 5 days a week I work out. And I eat, certain things I don't eat no more, certain things I don't like. I drink water. Like I'll tell you, I drink one of these every day. Every day I drink one of these. That's why it's so close to me. I drink it all the time. I'm a water drinker. I love water anyway, so it's no issue. I don't even drink other stuff no more. I drink only water. I don't drink sodas no more. You can't because the bubbles and stuff is air and it stretches your stomach, so you can't drink sodas no more. You got to give up a lot of that sugar. You can't because you'll get dumping syndrome, and that's not pretty. Dumping syndrome is not pretty. I seen my aunt go dump. I mean, literally in front of my eyes. I said, after that, you will not have to worry about me drinking or eating, because a lot of us don't really look at the labels of foods, and they tell you how much sugar you have to obtain a day. Did you say something? Oh, what is dumping syndrome? Okay, well, dumping syndrome is when you eat after you have gastric bypass and you eat a bunch of sugar, foods with a lot of sugar in it. Your body, because remember, you bypassing your stomach now. Your stomach is used to be the one that digests and breaks down the stuff. You're going straight into your intestines, from your esophagus to the little pouch of your stomach, but it goes straight into your intestines. Your intestines does not break down food the same way as your stomach, right? So that sugar hits that. Ooh, you get flu-like symptoms automatically. You start sweating, and then you get stomach cramps, you get diarrhea, you throw up. It's like all that happens at one time because it's dumping. You dumping sugar into the intestines, and it makes your body reacting that way. So it make you feel like you like have a flu and stuff, and then you have like a stomach virus at the same time, and it's not pretty. So a lot of people now, after a while of having the dumping syndrome, some people continue to eat like that. Your body does get used to that after a while, and then you won't get the dumps no more. But now you have an issue because now you're gaining this weight back. And back then, they didn't have revising surgeries like they do now, that you could go back in and get it like your stomach stapled again or whatever the case is. But you don't want to keep on putting your life on the table, because every time you lay down on the table, you take a chance, and you don't want to use that as an end all be all result. Like, just eat right, and you have to commit that to yourself before you get the surgery. I did that. I committed myself, you know, and you're gonna gain maybe sometimes 5 to 10 pounds, fluctuate up and down because your body does fluctuate, and you do get older. You go through menopause and hormones and all that stuff. But all in all, I kept the weight off, and everybody kept saying, "Well, how do you do it?" I said, "Because I took it seriously. I didn't use it as, oh, I'm gonna lose all this weight, I'm gonna be fine, and that's it." But if you're still eating the same way, you're gonna gain the weight back. So that's another myth, that people think that when you have the surgery, you don't gain the weight back because your stomach is smaller. But if you eat a lot, your stomach's gonna stretch. That little pouch that they made is gonna completely stretch out. You're gonna be able to hold more food, and therefore you're gonna be able to take in more calories. And then when you take in more calories, you're gonna gain weight. So that's one of the things I like to talk about with people. Don't think because you had the surgery it's going to be end all be all, because it takes a lot more to maintain this surgery. You got to go to the doctors. You got to check your, make sure stuff is okay. You got to check your blood. You got to check your blood. You got to, I mean, it's a lot to it. It's a lot to it. If your stomach stretches, it's still the same pouch. It just gets bigger. So it because you're never going to use, your stomach is only used for the acid. So now your food doesn't go in your stomach no more. It bypasses your stomach. It goes through your intestines. But when it goes through the bottom area where your stomach uses the acid at to kind of break down food, that part still works. So your stomach still does the acid thing and break down the food, but your food don't pass through the stomach anymore. But that little pouch on the top from the esophagus down, you got a little pouch, and then it goes to the intestines. That gets bigger, and that's what people goes in and get revision for because they want to get it small again because they don't want to be able to consume as much food. Um, One of the things about the surgery too, you have to take vitamins for the rest of your life. You got to take vitamins for the rest of your life because your body doesn't absorb as much because you don't have a stomach to do that no more. So you got to take vitamins every day. You can't use Advil no more. Any of those kind of Advils, you only can use Tylenol because that mess up your lining. You know, so there's things that you do have to change for the rest of your life if you want to have successful bypass. If you don't want to have ulcers. You know, you don't want things like that. So the sleeve and bypass. So the sleeve, they kind of cut your stomach like a little banana-ish look, like they staple it like a little banana-ish kind of way. Um, it's less invasive than the gastro bypass. It does the same thing. It's just the cut is different. The way they do it is a little different with the cut. Um, you still have like some of your stomach, if I'm not mistaken, still being used more than the gastro bypass. But the sleeve you recover quickly. Excuse me, quickly. Um, is like I know someone who just had it, and their recovery time was less than two. It wasn't even the whole 2 weeks. They were feeling good after the first week. I was out of work for almost 6 weeks when I had mine. Almost 6 weeks. They change it so much. It's not like it used to be. Like you go in there, you come out, and they have you eating different foods than I was eating. When I was coming out, I was eating just like little like literally I was eating shot glasses of potatoes, shot glasses of pudding. And I couldn't. It took me forever to get that down. It took me. Yeah, it took forever. I used to like take a little spoon and go and eat this little, and I was full. I was so full. Um, but now because they of course like anything with technology you advance, so now they figure out other ways of doing it and be able to be successful as well. So I do like that you don't have to go through as much. And one of the thing I was contemplating on was lap band or the gastric bypass because that was popular. At the lap band was real popular, and people went that route because they were like, "Oh, it's less invasive. It's not really surgery. They just put that band on." Yeah, I personally now they have a new version of it now. They literally like last year or two, it's a new version out. But it seemed easier at the beginning, but it really isn't because you got to keep going into the doctor's office for them to stick a needle in that port. There's a port that's going to be attached to your side of your hip, and right there's a port inside of you right here. They got to take a needle in it and they got to put saline into it because the band is like a band and it has like saline solution in there. And so what they do is they take out or put in to make the band stretch bigger or smaller. And so sometimes when they do it, they don't really know yet until you start eating and stuff. Do they need to kind of adjust it or not? Because some people get the reflex because it's too tight. And so the food it kind of gets like you throw it up or whatever because you can't get it down, and then it messes with your esophagus. And a lot of people get issues with heartburn and all that stuff because that acid going up and down your esophagus is going to tearing up the lining inside of there. So if you start having that, you got to go back to the doctor. They got to take it out the port, put it and do. And so you got to get adjusted a couple of times a year. They check it. Yeah, yeah. So this is when I was looking. Now I don't know about this new version. I don't know. I'm assuming it's similar because you still got to be able to adjust it. But I was like, I'd rather just get it done, one and done. I don't want to have to keep coming in and adjusting stuff. And then if it doesn't work, you take it out. It's just too much. Even though they say, our surgery is a permanent thing, and it sure is. When you get it done, it's permanent. There's no going back. This is the way your body's going to be. They could fix it, but they can't take it apart and put it back together. Like, that's a wrap. Yeah, yeah. No, them days are over. It's been almost 12 years. So, I still don't eat a lot. If I go out to eat, I would probably eat just one. If I get a regular restaurant meal, it used to take me 4 meals to eat it. Now I can eat it in two. So I can eat half and then I can eat the other half later. But I never could finish a full meal at a restaurant. I'd be too full. I'd be too full. So, but I'm glad that we're talking about this because I like people, especially these days, 'cause it's so easy to get the surgery, and then people get it, and I don't think they understand what they get themselves into, and I don't think they understand the lifetime commitment of things you have to do for the rest of your life. They just think of the instant gratification of it because literally the first week you could lose 20 something pounds easy. That's by the time you leave the hospital, you lost about 10 to 12 pounds. So you see all that happening, but when you get back into it and you start getting your appetite back, and you got to really tame yourself. You got to really understand what you're getting yourself into. But a lot of people say they don't get hungry. They don't eat as much. And another, I don't know if you want to call it a downfall, but I think it is. Your hair most times will not completely fall out, but it thins out really really bad because your protein that you usually get from the foods that you usually eat, you're not eating as much of those foods no more. So your protein is less until you start building it back up. So usually the first year, a lot of people hair thin out really because mine did. Mine's I had to do quick weeds for a while because my hair was really really thin, and then it comes back though. But most people have issues with their hair. Usually their hair starts falling out and like shedding out. Not like bald spots, but just shedding out, and it thins out your hair. But it does come back, so don't get scared. It does your hair does come back fuller again, but it does go through that because of your protein deficiency, your vitamin deficiency. That's why you have to take vitamins every day because if you're not eating as much, that means that you're not getting all the vitamins like you used to have. So you have to supplement those with good eating foods that you're supposed to be eating, and using supplements to make sure you don't get efficiencies in your vitamin intake. Yes, they I usually do a shake a day. I haven't done a shake a day in a minute, but that's what I was doing, a shake a day. Um they do recommend certain shakes for you to do. If you want to do a meal replacement, you want to do a certain shake, you do that. But all in all, I would say protein shakes are good, but just look at the instructions and stuff and read the labels because a lot of sugars. You got to learn how to read labels now. Like I literally go in the stores and I look at labels. You have to read labels because you need to know your sugar. My rule of thumb is I don't do nothing over 9 grams of sugar in it. If it's over 9 grams of sugar, I don't usually buy it. Um, I do a lot of sugar free stuff. I do. They like stevia now is the new thing because it's closer to natural sugars than the other stuff. When I had the surgery, Splenda was it. Everything was Splenda based. Splenda, Splenda, Splenda. That's what they was, telling us to take. Splenda, Splenda, Splenda. Now they saying that's not good, and they saying the stevia is better. Um, some people said use brown sugar or raw sugar. I just think it's just a trend. Whatever is the hottest thing at that time, they tell you to do. But I know what they mean. They just don't want you to take a sugar in, and they want to give you something, but you can't do regular sugars the same way you were doing them before. So I just say rule of thumb: buy everything under 10 grams of sugar, then you okay. That's my rule of thumb. Um, I do like sugar free. If I want a dessert or something, I do sugar free, or I'll do desserts. There's a lot of desserts out there that's like between 5 to 9 sugar content. I mean grams per serving, just to get that taste. And I don't. It don't bother me. My taste buds has changed so much since I had the surgery. I don't crave those sugars like I used to. I do like sweets, but it's not like it was before because my body changed so much because I don't eat as much sugar. So when it's something really sugary, it don't even taste right no more. It's just too syrupy to me. So I still like sweets, but I don't really like. I don't eat like those kind of things like those store brought cakes and little Debbie's and over like that stuff is like ugh, to me it's too much. I like sugar free cakes or low sugar kind of content foods if I could get them because I'm so used to it. But people who do not have the surgery or do not have that ability, And you know this because this is your specialty about the sugar. That's why you making products for this, because you want people to get the taste of things, but you don't want them to have to deal with the consequences of the taste because it's too much sugar. And people like you is what we need, especially in this industry, or especially being like a bypass patient. You know, we need stuff like that. We need healthy, sugar less or sugar free ish items to keep this up, especially when you have polycystic too on top of the surgery. You really need to be mindful of your calories and be mindful of your carbs. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go off.
All right. So this is really great information. I really appreciate it. You know, always when it's going to be something that's really, really going to be good, really, I mean, all the time, stuff is, you know, the guests that I have and everybody, it's really helpful information. But oh, when it's going to be something really good and it's affecting a lot of people, we always, the technical difficulties come trying to stop it, trying to block it, trying to block the message. But it was not successful today. You know, we had a few hiccups, but it wasn't successful today. I thank you so much because I think that there are a lot of women who are affected by PCOS. They don't know it. Like you said, you didn't know it. And they don't get it. They're not understanding what is exactly going on with them and with their body, and they're affected by it, and they don't, and they just live their lives, you know, expecting for something different to happen, and it doesn't actually happen because there needs to be a mindset shift, you know, so that they can lose the weight, cut back on the carbs and the sugar. And I think that for a lot of people, just we don't. I was just looking at something saying, oh, I used to consume about 17 teaspoons of sugar a day. You know, that was like on average, and I'm sure it was more than that, but that's like the average that most Americans consume per day, and that's just like way too much sugar. And so these are the all of that sugar. Even though I'm feeling a little down today, and my mom has said to me, "Do you think you need something for your electrolytes?" And I was like, "No, I'm hydrating. I'm drinking water. That's fine." Because I know that if I get a Gatorade, it's got 9 teaspoons of sugar in it. You can't taste it, but those 9 teaspoons of sugar, that sugar is going to reduce my resistance by 30%. It's going to stay that way for 2 hours. I mean, lower my you know, my immune system by 30%. It's going to stay that way for 2 hours. Now, just imagine if you're doing that day in and day out, because you can't taste the sugar in that because it doesn't really taste like it's got a lot of sugar in it. And people are, and I was the Gatorade queen. I drink a 32 ounce, no problem. But I think that people are thinking they're eating these things, drinking these things, and they just don't know the effect that it's having on their body. And so I appreciate you sharing your story and talking about that. Do you first off, we need to find out what you got going on, all of the different things that you have going on, because I was on your website and I saw that you have a couple of conferences and some things like that that you got going on. So I want to give you an opportunity to talk about those things, and also where people can find you, all of your information and all of that stuff. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, and the floor is yours. Please continue sharing.
Thank you. Yes, I do have a lot going on. First of all, I have my podcast as well as my talk show is live on Facebook and YouTube. It's called Let's Talk 1943. So if you go to my Facebook platform, IG, TikTok, and Pinterest, they all are under Let's Talk 1943. And the 1943 stands for my father. He passed away in 2012, and he was born in 1943. So that's my way of giving him his homage of, you know, keeping that his legacy alive. So let's talk 1943. Um, with that, I have a actually a conference coming up. I'm doing a workshop called "Wring Out Your Sponge," and it comes with a. I actually have a workbook that I made for the conference, and it's for us. You know, women could be men too. I don't want to exclude men, but it's basically, you know, when you look at a sponge is saturated, and then you can't. It's saturated with your old beliefs. It's saturated with your insecurities, validation issues, low self esteem. What we need to do is wring out your sponge so we could get absorbed and receive no more information that's going to benefit you, a better belief system, better just thoughts. So we're going to work on that. So we have amazing guest speakers coming in to motivate you, to help you go through the journey, and to finish this book out, this workbook that I have that is Wring Out Your Sponge. So those are the things I have going on right now. If you look under Regina Smithwick on Amazon, I have 4 books out right now, and I have 3 journal books and 1 book I wrote about my adoption. If you want to check that out, you're welcome to do so. Please join us on the podcast. You have any, let us know that you on and you came through this show. Let's support each other. So definitely, um, just look at my website www.letstalk1943.com, and all my information is on the website.
I'm up there trying to type everything in the notes. I probably
Yeah,
didn't.
thank you. I see. Thank you.
I probably didn't get it all, but I will post it when I upload the podcast. It will strip the video off of this and just be the audio. Everything will be there, and I'll try and get over to the video portion on the live on YouTube at SAIRNT and put that information over there as well. Yes, everybody, please go and support Miss Regina with everything it is that she's doing. I mean, that Ring Out Your Sponge conference, that sounds like that is going to be phenomenal. That is, I mean, that sounds like it's going to be life changing. Like when you wring something out, you getting rid of everything that's in there. You squeezing it out, you getting it out, and it leaves you dry, refreshed, ready to take on some more. So that sounds like it's going to be a phenomenal conference. So everybody, please go and check her out on her website. It's www.letstalk1943.com. Again, that's www.letstalk1943.com. All right, Regina, I'm going to let you have. Do you got any parting words, any last words, thoughts that you want to leave the people with? Because your information, I mean, it has been so powerful, and people really need to, and like I have had all the questions, about the gastric bypass, the mindset, why this, why that, and you answered a lot of those questions for me today and for a lot of people, I'm sure. So I'm turning back to
I would say my takeaway for today is to basically really check on your health. And what I mean by that is the surgery is a good tool, is a very good tool. Um, but just weigh out everything, because some people are using it for a quick rich, not quick rich, but quick kind of solution. And you're going to spend a lot of money and time and effort in something that you end up gaining the weight back, and it's not going to be worth it. Um, try to do it on your own and see if you haven't tried. Some people haven't tried and they just running to that solution. But if you could try it on your own and see what you can do on your own, you may don't even have to take that route. A lot of people take that route because they think it's an easy way out, but it's not. It's not easy because there's a lot that come with it, and you don't want to just take the easy way out. Now, people like me who have the polycystic, it's hard to lose weight because of that problem. So for me, it was something that I needed to do for that. But there's some people who haven't really tried anything else. So just try that. Continue to be healthy. Look into your health. Read labels. Understand what you're eating. And then, sometimes you could probably figure this out yourself. But if not, and you have a lot of elements, by all means, this is, I will say to you, I do not regret it. And this is one of the best decisions I made for my life. So I do agree with it, but I just don't think some people understand what it comes with. So that would be my takeaway.
fantastic. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And everyone, just give Regina a round of applause. Yay! I am
Thank you
so,
so
so
much. I
grateful.
appreciate you.
I'm so grateful for you sharing this information with us. Again, everyone, go to her website, www.letstalk1943.com, to get all of the information about her podcast, the conference, Bring Out Your Sponge. That sounds like it's going to be phenomenal. Everybody, please go and check her out. And Regina, I thank you so much. Your message it has touched me, and I know it's touched a lot of people. So I really appreciate you sharing your story with us. And again, everyone, we just thank you, Regina, for joining us today. And everyone, the technology, it happens like that sometime, but we still got a great message. And so, until next time, everybody, we say peace and blessings.